A warm welcome to everybody from Scott, or welcome again if you have been following us. Thank you very much to uh, support and to be with us again. Um, Today's webinar is going to take us to a very uh, pleasant topic. It's about food and taste, the destination innovations in food tourism. Um, we have a very distinguished panel, and the moderator of today, who has been with us before, and he doesn't need to be introduced, is Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed Keskin is one of the experts in this area, and he is a professor of international hospitality service innovation in Saunders College of Business at Rogers Institute of Technology. His recent teaching portfolio includes courses in customer experience management and food and beverage business management. Dr. Keskin research contents on centers in the consumer behavior and well-being within domains of hospitality, tourism, and events. He has published in leading international journals and activity service as a reviewer and editor board member for several of them. And his professional background includes hospitality industry experiences across 4 countries, Turkey, Germany, France, and the United States. We had the pleasure to host Dr. Muhammad before, and today he is back with Scott with a distinguished panel. And we are very eager to hear from them tonight or this morning. Before that, as the first agenda of Scott, and each time we are going to invite the president of Scott, Professor Jafar Jafari, to enlighten us with an opening remarks. Professor Jafari, the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much for the introduction. And yes, we have had subjects in the category of food or cuisine, or even cheese. We had one on in relation to cheese and tourism. Here is early morning, so one can think of breakfast. In Europe, it's already past lunchtime. In Asia, past dinner time, and in the Far East, it's time for midnight snack. So these are all food, but what happens is that when the culture is added to it, it becomes cuisine, it becomes gastronomy. And therefore, something which is very important is while to connect it to tourism, while tourists are traveling and having food, they're actually having experience. Well, the title of the presentation of the panel today is Taste the Destination. I think by the end of the panel, you would realize that actually it could be experience the destination. Food is more than a biological intake. It is cultural enrichment. And this is quite evident in all aspects of food and the service that goes with it. It is a highlight for tourists, and some destinations are known for the cuisine or gastronomy that they offer. This past Wednesday, another important recognition was made, and that is UNESCO's status was given to the Italian food. This is not just food. For us in tourism, this is an attraction. This is what brings the tourists to the destination. Tourism is already high in number in Italy, but obviously it's going to gain more popularity with this UNESCO designation. I'm sure you have seen the news, and I know it's going to be covered in the conference. There were a number of articles on the subject that came out on Wednesday, and I want to read a segment of it. Um, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, said the following: "We are the first in the world to receive the recognition which honors who we are and our identity." She went on to say additional thing such as because for us Italians, cuisine is not just food or a collection of recipes. It is much more. It is this part I want to emphasize. It is culture, tradition, work, and wealth. And then she connects it to tourism at the end of this article. There were numerous articles on this issue. So there will be messages in this by this panel for the countries that have not made cuisine one of their attractions. Every country has its own cuisine. Every country has its own service. And the combination of the two makes it very interesting. And truly, food, cuisine, gastronomy is the highlight of trip for many people. This will be demonstrated in this panel. I'm looking forward to learn from the insights that we are going to gain on foods, drinks, gastronomy, cuisine, and the like, and see how we can blend it with tourism. It has already been blended, not that we are discovering it for the first time. We are accentuating it now, especially with the new recognition of UNESCO. So I welcome the panel members and the audience, and I give you back the microphone, Dr. Qasim.
Thank you, Jafar. As always, with a lot of key news and information on the topic. Without further ado, I ask Mohammed to lead the session. The panel is yours, and we are all eager to learn from you, Mohammed.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Kazim. Thank you so much, Professor Jafari. The idea came about last year when we were having a conversation with Professor Uysal. He suggested, conducting this webinar, and we are glad that you offer us a chance to discuss this topic. Apparently, as Professor Jafari just shared, this is an important topic. So I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. As you all know, I am participating from Rochester, New York, and I would like to welcome you all to our webinar on this topic. So I worked at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. I'm sending my greetings from here, but I also know that we have another panelist from Tokyo. We have another panelist from South Africa. We have a panelist from Ankara, and we have so many participants from different parts of the world. So we would like to send our greetings to all of you. So this topic is always timely. This topic is always important, as Professor Jafar also just mentioned, because it provides a connection between food and tourism, and it's a crucial platform for cultural transmission, local economic development, sustainable practices. So our panelists will be talking about those kind of things. But we also want to make sure today that we cover and showcase best practices, destinations, and businesses used to capitalize on food and tourism and the connection between the two. But we also want to focus on, because this is the purpose of the webinars, so how can we design authentic culture-based gastronomic or food tourism experiences? So everybody designs those. All destinations try to design gastronomic experiences, but we need to make them culture-based. And then we also need to make sure that they benefit both tourists, residents, as well as suppliers. So we are going to be talking about the ways and how we can do that. So our program begins with individual presentations. Each panelist will share insights in 7 minutes format, and then we will then move into moderated panel discussion before opening the floor to the audience, Q&A, questions and answers. So before we start that, I just want to set the context, because it is important to set the stage by describing what food tourism is. I just shared this with you, and then we are also going to be talking about why food tourism is important. So as we can all see that it's important to think about food tourism, because it is driven by travelers' desire for authentic food experiences. But we also know that it's not necessarily always the main purpose of the travel. So when the main purpose of the travel is food, driven by desire for authentic food experiences, then we attend food festivals, we visit producers, we are taking food classes, dining at Michelin-starred restaurants, or exploring culinary destinations. These are, purposely driven for food. But then tourism itself is an experience. So food is a component of everyday life. And when we travel, we also enjoy food. So food is both a core product as well as a supplementary product, supplementary experience. Therefore, it's very important, and our panelists will be highlighting those as well. So I also wanted to mention the food tourism innovations. As Professor Jaffer mentioned, there are still countries or destinations or businesses or some parts of the world they don't benefit from, or they don't capitalize on food tourism. But we also know that many countries, many destinations, they use food as a differentiator. Regions, they use it to attract visitors, and they try to use it for boosting their economics. So this is about creating new food experiences, tourism experiences to drive revenue. So these are the offerings. So innovation can be looked at from that perspective. But then we also need to think about innovation from the perspective of improving efficiency and productivity. So if we are making it more authentic, if we are making it more sustainable, if we are making it more efficient and effective, then it's about the process, right? So we should look at innovation in two areas. First of all, from the perspective of the bringing new offerings, so that will grow the economy. The other one is improving the efficiencies. So I was also trying to look at a few other things earlier, and I just looked at this one. It says food tourism is that. Instead, it doesn't say food tourism is that. Basically, what it says is food tourism is everywhere. Food tourism is a global phenomenon. And as Professor Jaffer also highlighted, Italy received this designation just about 2 days ago, and the food is everywhere. So the world is also very global, but we also see lots of cultural displays of any countries, even without a need to travel to a destination. But there's this kind of exchange as well. So we would like to see people are traveling to destinations, visiting places to experience food-related things. So without further ado, I'm going to be passing it to Serkan Toso. Serkan Toso is joining us from Japan, and he is the co-founder and COO, Chief Operating Officer of BuyFoodCom. It's a platform that connects travelers with authentic food experiences and restaurant reservations, particularly focused on the Japanese food tourism. So platform operates under the social impact initiative Food for Happiness, which has donated over 1 million meals to children. Serkan is a recipient of the UNWTO Gastronomy Tourism Startup Competition Award. So Serkan, please take it over.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Professor. I'm going to share our experience in food tourism in Japan. Let me share my presentation. Is it visible on your side?
Yes, very good.
Okay. So I'm going to start. Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Serkan. I'm the founder of BuyFood.com here in Japan. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am originally from Turkey. I came to Japan in 2015 to study for my master's degree and have lived here ever since. I studied in a very rural part of Japan called Niigata, at the International University of Japan. I didn't speak Japanese at the time. So without Japanese, it was quite challenging, especially going out for restaurants because of the language barrier. But I realized that foreign visitors must be facing the same challenge. So I decided to build a food tourism platform called buyfood.com. But what is food tourism? It's traveling to experience a place through its flavors, its stories, its culture, understanding a destination through its food. Food tourism comes alive when we explore culture through flavor, meet locals through meals, and learn traditions through cooking. Food tourism is very powerful. It drives cultural transmission, supports local economies, encourages sustainable travel, and creates the most emotional travel memories. It's one of the strongest forces shaping tourism today. Globally, 70% of travelers choose destinations because of food. This shows that food is not just part of the trip, it's often the reason for the trip. The global food tourism market is growing rapidly. It's a little bit different than Professor Mohammed's number because it depends how you define the food tourism. But from $1 trillion today to nearly $3 trillion by 2032. Food tourism is growing and becoming a major economic driver in the travel industry. So we are in Japan, and Japan is experiencing really historic growth. Actually, is projected to reach nearly 60 million inbound visitors in the coming years, as shown in this chart. And actually, a remarkable 83% of visitors come to Japan to eat Japanese food as their main travel motivation. This highlights Japan's brand power as the global food destination. But despite this demand, both sides actually face challenges. Travelers in Japan encounter like phone-only reservations. Actually, like 90% of restaurants in Japan don't accept online reservations. Language barriers, dietary restrictions, and difficult accessing local experiences. On the restaurants and experience host side, they struggle with no-shows, limited marketing, and not knowing what tourists expect. So there is a very clear gap. Because of that, BuyFood exists to bridge this gap, connecting travelers and locals through curated, meaningful food experiences. Today, in BuyFood, actually, we work with 1,400 hosts from all around Japan, offer 2,400 experiences in Japan, but recently we started global and we are offering 30,000 food experiences all around the world. Welcome guests from 100 plus countries, collaborate with 150 plus travel agencies, and we really focus on social media. So we have 500,000 followers with more than 250 million views. And our platform actually brings together different technologies, multilingual content, AI plus human concierge, prepaid bookings to reduce no-shows, line messaging application notifications to our restaurants and hosts, automated global distribution. Together, these features create a smooth and seamless end-to-end journey. We are honored to receive major recognitions. We won the United Nations World Tourism Organization Gastronomy Tourism Startup Competition. We are selected as the best online travel agency in Japan, multiple Cool Japan Awards, and the Japan Tourism Awards. Our mission at BuyFood is simple, spreading happiness through food. We bring travelers, chefs, local hosts together to create authentic cultural connections. And for every guest, we donate 10 meals to children in need, spreading joy around the world. At BuyFood, every meal becomes a bridge. Through our Food for Happiness project, we have donated over 1 million meals to children in need, thanks to the support of our guests and partners. To differentiate ourselves, we continuously create unique, high-quality experiences that are only on BuyFood. We achieve this by collaborating with national and local governments, opening exclusive cultural spaces to travelers, creating food experiences inside restaurants, bringing famous chefs to local areas, building experiences with content creators and influencers, developing secret menus that are only available to book on BuyFood, partnering with private companies such as in Japan, Asahi Beer, Yokohama Bank, JTB, and more. So I would like to give some case studies and highlight our innovation in food tourism in the next section. The first one is our collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries of Japan. In this project, Eat Meet Japan, we created 63 experiences across the country to drive travelers to local regions, because in Japan, most of the travelers just go to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. We visited each relocation, trained hosts, produced videos and photos, created pages and run influencer campaigns to boost the visibility in this campaign, and we started actually achieving bringing travelers to local areas. As the second example, we developed a $100 ramen secret menu exclusive to BuyFood. It generated actually over 11 million views, was featured in the Japan Times, and doubled the shop's sales thanks to this experience. It's a perfect example of storytelling driving innovation. The third case is at the world's first Michelin-starred ramen shop, Suta. We transformed off-peak hours into premium ramen experience. We turned an 8-bowl ramen into $80 immersive journey, which became one of our top sellers. In this experience, travelers can see behind the scenes how ramen is made, opposed to just eating ramen in the restaurant. Lastly, this is a recent example we created. We partnered with a 150-year-old sake brewery and Michelin-starred sushi restaurant. We created a hands-on sake making and sushi pairing experience, including designing custom bottle labels. By bringing a celebrity chef, we made the local brewery more attractive to international travelers. As my final notes, food tourism builds cultural bridges. Innovation creates value for both travelers and locals. It leads to deeper understanding and shared happiness. At BuyFood, our mission remains the same: spreading happiness through food. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Serkan Beyciğim. We know that we are going to be expanding and going in depth in some of those case studies in the moderated discussion in perhaps 15 or 20 minutes or so. Thank you so much. We appreciate you outlining how technological solutions like using prepaid bookings and to reduce the foreigners no-show. And then you're also trying to help the industry solve real problems. And then you're also helping, building cross-cultural connections in Japanese tourism. We also know that you're trying to expand that to other countries as well. Thank you so much for your service, and we have seen some great initiatives that you are leading. So without further ado, we are going from Japan to South Africa, Cape Town. Our next panelist is Annelies. Let me just show my slide on that one. All right, so Annelies Morkel is joining us from Cape Town. She's a South African researcher, lecturer, and consultant, specializing in hospitality strategy and business development within the food and wine industry. lectures on courses such as economics of wine, culture and cuisine, and sustainable tourism, committed to women's empowerment and social upliftment across the African continent. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to you, Annelies. We're looking forward to your presentation as well. You are muted.
Thank you so much, Professor Mohammed, and thank you, Professor Kazim and Professor Jafari, for all the assistance and the opportunity. So I just want to see if wait a second for it to... Is my full screen on?
Yeah,
Thank you so much. So, so I am representing from the Southern Hemisphere today, from Cape Town, South Africa, where it's afternoon. So good morning and good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Cape Town, also known as the Mother City. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Cape Town, specifically in the South African context. And whenever the word South Africa comes up, the word diversity comes up as well. So I'm trying in my presentation to show what diversity means in terms of food tourism. So it is a special year for me to be representing from Cape Town, because Cape Town had 2 major awards this year, which has helped tourism significantly. We were Time Out's Best City in the World 2025 and the Telegraph Travel Best City in the World as well. And of course, that helps a lot with tourism and placing Cape Town amongst some of the top travel destinations. So putting Cape Town in context, I just wanted to start with a little bit of an overview on Africa. Of course, Africa, the most ethnically diverse continent with many countries, up to 3,000 ethnic groups. And as one would imagine, all of these groups would eat differently, and there's often small groups that prepare food in a specific way and use spices and everything else. So the same is visible in Cape Town. If we look a little bit at the influence of different countries that had a big role in South Africa and Cape Town specifically, the Malay cuisine, indigenous cuisine, colonial, Dutch, French, and over the last few years, especially from other African countries like Morocco, Angola, the DRC, and places like that. So I think that puts diversity in context, because one could imagine this would filter through to things like food and drinks and everything else. So going into Cape Town, also known as the Cape of Good Hope, and I will later in my presentation state what the significance of that is in terms of the importance of growing industries of hope for the future for South Africa. So if you look at Cape Town, you would see it's surrounded by the ocean, and we've got the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic. So nature is very much part of everything that we eat and experience from a tourism perspective. So a lot of food, a lot of our wine tourism and other forms of tourism are designed around nature and around the ocean and things like that. So Cape Town, from the ocean and at the ocean, are 2 things which always gets highlighted when you visit Cape Town. Because I think just the fact that we are situated next to the ocean impacts how people look to experience meals. And if you look at the famous photographs, you will always have ocean views at the background. And if we do get into that discussion, of course, a concept like sustainability becomes critically important to consider whenever you've got something like that. Then you will see there's a traditional South African fish called snoek, which was fondly referred to as the Cape Town credit card. And it's a good case study example of how the food of a specific destination can become part of the culture and the stories of that destination. So going into that, the question always comes up, what is South Africa's signature food? And that is, I think just looking at the previous slides, it's quite complex when it comes to South African context, and even Cape Town, with a lot of international visitors moving to Cape Town or spending summers in Cape Town. at the moment. So South African cuisine is often a fusion of different cultures. We're a country with 12 national languages, so you can imagine at one stage one of them would want to share something with someone else, and fusion sort of happens naturally. And then the global influences are, of course, evident everywhere. We've got visitors from all over the world in Cape Town at the moment, and especially because of those awards. And that brings us to, let's explore that diversity, because of course things like resources and availability of resources, it's critical if you want to be able to keep true to your styles of food and things like that. So just a few examples of South African food to give context to what we mean with diversity. In South Africa, very often we cook on open fires. So even a lot of our tourism experiences are in the outdoors or on open fires. Most South African homes would have something like a place where you can cook on a fire, whether it's a meal on a pot or a meal on an open fire, but it's part of the culture and the social cultures around the food. And then braai, which is not exactly like a barbecue, but in South Africa, with very difficult past and historical challenges, things like this have become ways of celebrating the stuff that unites us and not divide us. So braaiing together and having a specific day where we can braai together, this is something that you see at a lot of food destinations. So another local food is street foods. We've got various street foods that are unique to South Africa, and this is called a Gatsby, and it is one of the must-have tastes that people have when they come to Cape Town. And ironically, the name just came from the owner that started that was watching the Great Gatsby movie, and it filtered through to the food. So yeah, again, it adds to the diversity of how stories make up food culture in South Africa. Then, of course, being an international city, we've got a lot of the famous cuisines available in Cape Town. I often take students around to walk around a block and see how many different styles of cuisine they can find. And it is very evident. So we've got a lot of French cuisine, internationally awarded chefs. Even though we don't have the Michelin status restaurants, we've got chefs that have got this status or have second restaurants in places like France, in Nice, and things like that. So we definitely see that fine foods culture also coming through in Cape Town specifically. Then, of course, again, bringing it back to nature and the environment, our wine industry and wine tourism performing very well for us at the moment and growing. And a good example is this, the farm to table or the farm to fork experience. So we see a lot of outdoors experiences like that, especially now. It's we're in midsummer and summer's holiday, where you can see how things like edible plant varieties, citrus gardens, perfume, everything is designed around, and we'll talk about the significance of design now, but it is designed around like functionality of food. And that is very important in South African context at the moment. So city markets is another thing. Cape Town being where it's situated at the end, you can drive for an hour in any direction and you will find completely different landscapes and completely different geography, which means there are different products. And things like pop-up markets and even in the city center, giving people from those remote or agritourism areas the ability to introduce their products to tourism is a very significant part of the tourism scene in Cape Town. So why is this relevant? I think when we look at South Africa and food tourism and in the bigger scheme of tourism, job creation is critically important for us. We've got a very, very high unemployment rate. And hospitality, which includes things like food tourism, wine tourism, and other types of tourism, often serves as a gateway industry for South Africa. And to put that in context, if you look at our unemployment statistics, it is very high. We've got in youth unemployment, we've got up to 45%, and there is the understanding like some of these statistics might not even be 100% accurate, because some people might have given up looking for jobs completely. So any industry which is labor intensive, where there can be throughout the value chain job creation, is critically important for the country. There are provinces who have very, very little tourism, and unemployment under the youth, there are some studies that show it as being as high as 70%. So one could imagine the impact on the socio-economic situation in a country or a province or an area. And that's why a place like Cape Town needs to continue to promote anything that can help with the job creation. Then bringing that into the creative economy, Cape Town was also the first city in Africa to get the UNESCO City of Design Award. And the impact is visible in all forms of tourism. We can see it in food tourism, and maybe later we'll go in a little bit more in depth with that. But we can see that going from architecture, if you think about our wine farms and traditional buildings and things like that, with this award, there's been an emphasis on creating a new identity and new types of things. And even in the food tourism experiences, we can see how digital and everything else, like we've discussed earlier as well, everything is centered around creating value for the creative economy for a place like Cape Town. So that brings me to why the industry is so important, why food tourism is so critical for Cape Town. We need industries of hope. We need industries that have the potential to grow. A lot of our economic growth have been slowing down over the past few years, and a lot is being written about that. And we need industries where we can amplify and grow in various departments. And food tourism does exactly that. With the diversity and everything else, it is important that we keep looking at that. So we can see the food is important. We've got a strong agriculture segment in the Western Cape specifically as well, and they export, and all of that adds to the ability and the resources needed for our food tourism industry. Pairings, unique types of pairings are critically important. This is a beer and food pairing. We've got quite a few wine and food pairings. We've got all sort of immersive experiences where other arts are forming part of it, where people either do drawings or paintings or things like that with food. And that all helps to create immersive experiences for tourism in South Africa. So to finish off with my last thoughts, food tourism is definitely an industry of hope in South Africa and in Cape Town. The Western Cape and Cape Town's unemployment statistics look a whole lot better than the rest of the country. And I think the tourism is very useful for a lot of those job creation opportunities. We've had our biggest tourism year yet in 2024, which is very good. And I want to leave you with the question, has Cape Town been intentional enough in promoting the taste of Cape Town? And considering that, and considering how important it is to do that for cultural preservation and also for job creation, how will the future look in terms of these lived experiences in South Africa? So my last word for the day is Ubuntu, which is a South African word, which can roughly be translated to I am because we are. And I think it is a good word that shows the interconnectedness of different industries, and the food industry needs to intersect and co-create value with other industries to be useful for South Africa. So yeah, thank you so much.
So my question is perhaps yes, if Cape Town has not done that, promoting Cape Town, taste of Cape Town, but you definitely did this morning. And who doesn't want to eat, drink and travel, especially to Cape Town and South Africa, right? I haven't been to Cape Town. I have been to other parts of the South Africa, but you just invited all of us, and I'm interested in visiting and tasting all these flavors. And I also enjoyed the fact that you spoke about the cultural landscape of Cape Town, the fusion cuisine, all the diversity. And I also enjoyed, when you highlighted, in the beginning of your the first slide, pra-academics, right? So you're talking about practitioner and academic. That lens is also quite important. And you have also highlighted the critical role hospitality and tourism plays, food tourism plays for creating employment opportunities. And I know that perhaps in the next round or in the remainder of the webinar, we're going to be hearing more perhaps about your beverage background as well. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
All right, so our next speaker is from Ankara, Turkey, Mr. İrfan Önal, who is an advisor at the Ministry of Culture and Tourism of the Republic of Turkey. He has expertise in cultural policy, heritage management, and tourism development, emphasizing the integration of sustainability and local community participation. Mr. Önal is actively involved with EUCITA, Turkish Research Network on local products and geographical indications. So without further ado, I would like to welcome your presentation, Mr. Önal.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammed Keskin, and hello from Ankara to everyone from all around the world. And I just want to say thank you to Scott family, Professor Jafari, Professor Vafadari. Thank you. And let me, my screen. Is that all right, Professor Mohammed?
It's coming, 1 second. Yeah, all set.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to speak about geographical indications as a tool for local development and gastronomic innovation in Turkey. But I will say from the very beginning, with this concept, that just focus on respect for the soil. If you do not, don't think about gastronomy or sustainable gastronomy tourism. So that's why, as a member of EUCITA, as you mentioned, Professor Mohammed, which is the civil society organization in Turkey and working for geographical indications and local products. And we give importance to geographical indications as a tool for gastronomy and gastronomic tourism in Turkey. Geographical indications is a very powerful tool for gastronomic innovation and rural development and also sustainable tourism. But at the center of this concept, I will focus for this presentation. I'm going to focus on respect for the soil and collaboration and also rediscovery of terroir. The main idea of this presentation is that to make gastronomic innovation and also sustainable gastronomic tourism in Turkey. Yeah. Is that going on? I mean,
you can just click on the arrows.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
What is geographical indication? Actually, geographical indications are registered products, but gives a geography, human knowledge, and also the climate together. Resembles, the very, very powerful representative of the geography as a product. So, geographical indications core elements are human being, and geography and climate, and also a very great knowledge culture actually, which gives sense of geography, I mean, place. Otherwise, you cannot connect the product with the place. So that's why Turkey's geographic indication policies help the gastronomy tourism and making gastronomy sustainable. In Turkey, from the 1995, we have a geographical indications policy just after the TRIPS agreement, and last 10-15 years, there is a huge attack taking geographical indications registration across the country. Now we have nearly 1,800 geographical indications registered for the product, and inflation is going very well, you know, on that topic. When we see the special concentration of geographical indications across the country, as you can imagine, I mean, Turkey is, comparison to Europe, is a big country, but also diversity is huge in terms of climate and also land. So that's why the countries, all region in the country, focus on the getting geographical indications, registered geographical indications from the authorities. So the bridge between geographical indications and gastronomy, I mean, very close connection with the geographical indications and gastronomy. But in terms of the tourism sector, the gastronomy helps the tourism sector creating new products and also new recipes. As I said from the very beginning, no gastronomy without respect for soil, because there is a danger. I mean, not just in Turkey, but also in the world. We forget about the soil and environment when we just focus on gastronomy or gastronomy tourism. That's why very, very important topic. And the other pillars of the geographical indications in my presentation is collective production culture, especially cooperatives. Across the country, last 10-15 years, again, there are many cooperatives working for the production of geographical indications, and the concentration is high on that topic. And the third pillars of geographical indication is terroir. Terroir is actually French or original French word, and also there is a word in Turkish called yöre, which exactly means terroir. I mean, terroir is not just geography or land or soil, but also culture, human knowledge, and the symbiotic relationship between land, culture, and the production process of human being. And of course, Turkey's terroir potential is huge. That's why the geographical indications potential is huge. One of the countries, I mean, across the world, Turkey has 1,800 geographical indications, and 50 of them registered by EU, European Union, just comes to second after China. And we think that the geographical indications as a cultural heritage, so it links between the culture and the tourism tourism product. So as a tool of gastronomy tourism, the geographical indications make the tourism very culture-based and human knowledge-based. And as a result, I mean, gastronomic innovation through geographical indications, if you make geographical indications management well, you can get gastronomic innovations from that. The three pillars of geographical indications management is one is governorship, and the second is the monitoring, and also third is registering. But if you just stay on registration and forget about the management or the monitoring, you cannot make your geographical indications as in original state. And geographical indication and also gastronomy tourism links is very powerful in Turkey. And also Turkey's tourism concept very close to gastronomy tourism, and the Minister of Culture and Tourism support the gastronomy tourism and think of that main pillar of the marketing issues nowadays. And I just would like to show the Gaziantep example of the country. Gaziantep situated in the southeastern part of the country and very familiar with cuisine culture. Nearly 500 recipes the city has. So they just focus on geographical indications last 10, 15 years. And the main marketing tool of the city is the making their cuisine well known worldwide. So the city has more than 100 geographical indications, registered geographical indications now, and 5 of them registered by European Union. So they get the, I mean, UNESCO gastronomy city label from UNESCO, and they are doing very well for their gastronomy culture. So just I want to say that Gaziantep municipality create new organization just for the geographical indications as a result of their tourism strategy. And with the link of local development through geographical indications, there are many cooperatives across the country focus on geographical indications product to make their regions development available. So as you can see that many women are actually working together for the help of economic development of their families. And there is a risk in Turkey regarding geographical indications, which is populism, the risk of populism, I mean, because as I said, 1,800 geographical indications we have, but if we forget about the 3 main pillars of the geographical indication system, the geographical indications are losing from that concept. So, I mean, governorship and registration and monitoring, if you do not take them, all 3 of them together, and geographical indications deteriorate itself. And this is very important. And why democratic governance matters, as you may understand that roundtable at the all regions, producer chefs, local government must work together on that topic. And as a result of the formula of innovation, geographical indications gives more opportunities to chefs and the regions to make their gastronomy culture sustainable and for the new recipes. And that's why the official representative of the tourism and culture in the country, the ministry, I mean, support the geographical indications as a tool for gastronomy, tourism, and gastronomy. And as a result, in conclusion, geographical indications, of course, elevate Turkey's gastronomy and to the global stage. But if we forget about the respect for the soil, and if we, lose the connection between geographical indications and gastronomy tourism, we may lose. We can get some short notice and short success, but at the long term, the country may lose some cultural heritage and make the gastronomy tourism lose from that. So as a result, I just want to say again, respect for the soil, and that's why we can make the gastronomy tourism sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, İrfan Beyciğim. So you have emphasized that there is no gastronomy without respect for soil, which is extremely important. Basically, the whole presentation is really about doing it right. So we are doing things, but we need to make sure that we also do it right, right? And then when you were talking about respect for soil, I thought about regenerative agriculture practices, regenerative tourism, and things like that. We have recent discussions around those. And then you also have, discussed the importance of collective production culture. And then you also have approached it from the perspective of, territorial branding or development, at the very local level. Even the most remote villages or small parts of Turkey should benefit from it, but it has to be sustainable. It has to be regenerative. It has to be right in doing so, right? Thank you so much. That's great.
You're very welcome.
So I believe it is very timely to have a 5-minute cultural break, and we will come back in about 5 minutes. And before, when we come back, I will give floor to our speakers to expand on what they covered all together. So in the first session, we wanted to speak about what is gastronomy tourism, what is food tourism, and then why it is important, and then some of those things we should pay attention to. But in the second round, following forward, we're going to be going more in depth, and then we will open the floor for questions. So see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.
I think it's quite a surprise often for guests walking through the front door at Wolfgat, because we're situated in an old fisherman's cottage, and you enter through this original wooden door with all the peeling paint, and it's kind of low and you have to duck a little bit. The food at Wolfgat is very much focused around our regional produce, and then we enhance it by things that we pick off the land. So the dishes I've chosen for you today, angelfish that we lightly smoke over rooibos tea leaves, and we serve it with herenboontjies, the heirloom Strandveld beans, and we've got some June spinach and wild fennel. I'm so incredibly proud of my team. It's become like a little family. My name is Kobus van der Merwe, and this is the team at Wolfgat.
was predominantly a Muslim area. When we became a democracy country, we became diversity. So now we have got black, white, pink, green, yellow, all types of people living. But we all get along quite well. We all respect each other. When the Dutch and the British brought the slaves to Africa, and the Val built these houses and he painted it all white. And the people that time got confused where the doctor lives, where the baker lives. If I want to go to the doctor, I walk in by the baker's house. So the doctor decided he's going to paint his door different colors so that the people can know where to go. And that is how it came. From a door it became to a hall, and from a hall it became the whole house. But we as residents, we choose our own colors, whatever color we want to paint. So it became purple and white. And now I'm known on Google as the lady by the purple house. I was born and raised in South Africa. I come from a family who's in the food industry. Mostly the aunts, they cook for weddings, functions and things like that. And by stealing with the eye, that is how I've learned to cook. I was a nursery school teacher for 25 years, and then my passion took over where the food is concerned. And that is how Cooking with Love was born, where you learn to cook, an interactive cooking class where you come and you learn and we cook with love. We spread the love. I've been cooking, teaching people, having fun with people, and it's such a pleasure teaching people a little bit of our culture. Our tradition, the Cape Malay cuisine, the slaves came from Madagascar, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all those places from the east. When they came here, they decided to look like, if you are Java, I'm Malaysian, I say how you cook, okay, and we fused that two together, and that is how the Cape Malay cuisine was created. And ever since then, we cook more or less with the same amount type of spices they are using, but also we became more moderate in it. Sometimes I give cooking demonstrations, and then sometimes I just get people that wants to come inside the house and come have lunch or come have dinner or just sit down and chat. And for us, it's a pleasure. Here we go, fun, come, let's cook it, enjoy it. South Africans, they make you feel welcome. Pleasure.
Okay, 5 minutes is not too long, right? So we are back. So it's great. So thank you so much, everybody. So in one of the videos, you have also seen a video from the United States. So, a country like United States, it's a developed country. And we all know that 80% of the US economy is service-based. But still, there are still like Tuscan. They care about food. They care about food tourism. They care about UNESCO's, designation for creative tourism, designations. So it seems like, all those countries, whether developed or not, they should really benefit from such designations and such developments. So we will continue on our discussion for the moderated panel discussion. So I would like to give floor to Mr. Serkan Toso to expand on those things you want to continue first. And then we will follow up with Annalise and Irfan Bey again.
Should I mention the experiences that we create and go more details of those?
I think, the cases that you just shared, like 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
Those are interesting. And if you can expand on, all of them or some of them, and as well as, anything else you want to say about, how your company is doing and how you are contributing to, small operators, small communities, women, vulnerable populations, and etc. Any kind of, insights you can provide, how to make it more sustainable, more beneficial to different stakeholders.
Sure. Yeah, I would like to go more details of the Eat Meat Japan project that we did in the beginning. So this project started in 2019. It was initiated by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries of Japan. The main idea was to bring travelers to local areas of Japan and let them experience Japanese food through these food experiences. But the overall bigger goal is actually in the long term help grow Japan's food exports to the world. So in this project, every year the government organizes a competition actually. So we have hundreds of applications, and among these applications, the judge committee selects 10 to 15 winners from each year. When the winners are selected, then our company starts working with these places. So we visit all the locations across Japan. We learn what they are doing. We consult them, train them, and improve the main idea they have and make it into real product bookable on our platform. So during this process, we create photos, videos, we do a lot of influencer marketing activities, paid advertisements. As much as possible, we try to bring travelers to those locations. We have one example, a success story, an experience, a farm stay experience in Mie Prefecture. It is a little bit under Kyoto, Osaka, Nagoya, that region. Actually, it is quite far to go. If you go from Tokyo, it may take 6-7 hours, but the experience become really success, and we started seeing travelers going there. In this specific experience, travelers can stay with an elderly couple. They pick their vegetables. They are cooking hot pot, but the main ingredients is Masusaka beef. This is similar to Kobe beef, really famous in Japan. They can experience local life. They can stay there. Next day also they can have really nice breakfast. This experience became one of the good sellers in the platform, but similar to this one, we created 63 experiences, and it took 5 years for us to finish this. I think it's really good example of local government and Japan government and private companies collaboration. In this project also we work with JTB. JTB is one of the biggest travel companies in Japan, and they are also our investor in the company. So I wanted to share as the collaboration example, and maybe I can also a little bit mention about this experience. So Tamura Sake Brewery is more than 150 years old history. They are in Tokyo, but really far from center. It takes maybe from Tokyo center 1.5 hours to reach there. So it's not really a place that travelers visit. But it has really beautiful garden, really nice place. Actually, it was visited by the Emperor of Japan. It's really a historical location. We wanted to bring travelers there and promote the area. So while we are thinking ideas, we wanted to focus on little bit high-end travelers, and we created this private experience where we pick up the group from their hotel in central Tokyo, and they come to this location. The owner of the brewery gives the tour, and the actual participants can make their own sake, actually help them sake making process. And then we have the tasting part where we try different type of Japanese sake, And the last part is sushi pairing with sake. We invited Udatsu Sushi in Japan, that they have Michelin 1 star, and they are also popular among foreigners. They have a lot of impression, like video views in social media, so foreigners know them. So we collaborated with them, and to promote this experience, we brought travel agencies, high-end travel agencies, and they were all impressed. So this is also becoming a new product. So we always try to create new ideas, like even sometimes it sounds like not interesting in the beginning, but we attract a lot of media attention. For instance, recently we created, like in Japan, recently convenience stores like 7-Eleven, Family Mart, they become so popular in social media, especially in TikTok. When travelers go to Tokyo, it's like a travel destination to go to grocery store or a convenience store. So we created this convenience store tour and Konbini hacks tour, and suddenly it become really popular. And right now, Forbes, Japan Times, and CNN interviewed us for this experience. So we also try to be on trend and create new experience on time, and attract media attention, and this also increase our brand awareness. So yeah, I can have like many examples, but it will take long time. So if you have any specific question, Professor, you can ask.
Thank you so much. My next question will be in the next round about your impact and mission. So just get ready for that one. So let's continue with Annelies Merkel, South Africa. Anything you would like to continue? You didn't cover, maybe you just need to expand more. And if you want to say things about beverage too, so if the floor is yours again one more time, and then I will also have specific questions for you too.
Thank you, Professor. I think if I have to emphasize two things in food tourism in Cape Town, it's innovation and preservation. So from an innovation side, talking about the design, which is critical, and things like that, digital transformation is playing a critical role in almost all industries. And if I have to refer to a practical example, I'll use the wine or wine tourism industry. A few years ago with COVID, our country, alcohol sales were banned in the country. So if your business was very dependent on visitorship alone, people needed to make alternative ways of doing business. And what evolved from that were things what we call like take-home experiences. So people would use digital tools and they would recreate the experience that you had, for example, on a wine farm at home. And it's been growing ever since. So it was almost like a catalyst that started with take-home experiences. With that, considering in South Africa, everything is about job creation focus as well. There's a lot of projects happening where government, private, public partnerships are happening, and also private business models, things like Makers Landing, which is almost like an incubator in Cape Town, where people get invited and they can learn, because skills development is critically important for us, especially in the hospitality industry, where we have various countries visiting and people don't always have an understanding of the expectations. So places like that is critically important. Then in terms of preservation, I think that's also for us very important. That video that we saw, the last one from the Bo-Kaap, I think is a very good example of how cultural preservation is important when it comes to food. And in my slide, I refer to food tourism and tourism being a gateway industry. And what makes it important for us as a developing country is that it is one of the industries where people have entry into the market without having high education expectations, or they don't need to know a lot about the area they're going into, but they learn very transferable skills. So the other industries where they go into, they don't necessarily learn things which can help them with career growth or education or moving forward. So it's critically important that we keep it growing so that we, especially in rural communities and amongst vulnerable communities as well, that there are gateway industries like with our unemployment, things where people can learn skills and they can grow and progress for the future. So I think those are two key points, unless you have anything else specific.
No, that's okay for now. When we come back, we can talk about intentionality, right? To what extent, you indeed, see innovation and preservation, kind of things are happening and benefiting the critical stakeholders. So we can expand on that, when we come back. Irfan Bey, so anything else you want to add on top of what you presented, go in depth on those key topics?
Maybe I can emphasize that again. I mean, respect for the soil concept and also rediscovery of terroir, yöre in Turkish. Geographical indications are very important tool to create link between culture, product, and the human being, experience of human being, and also the knowledge as well. So if you lose that link, I mean, you cannot helpful for the gastronomy and also gastronomy tourism sustainable. That's very important thing. And the second thing is from the tourism perspective of view, maybe we can focus on destination, but the destination word and the meaning is not cover the terroir, which I called, geography spirit, and the combination of geography, not just for soil and human experience, production, climate, water and forest as well. This covers everything around the geographical indications, and there is a strong link between geographical indications and terroir. If you put the geographical indications into your gastronomy policy, you can make very powerful your gastronomy policy, and also you can create links between the gastronomy and also innovations, and make your gastronomy tourism sustainable. Otherwise, there is a danger, not just in Turkey, but also all around the world, just focus on gastronomy tourism in short period. The G-mania, I said, G-mania, I would like to say that if you just focus on the numbers of geographical indications and forget about the management of geographical indications, which covers the governorship and first registration, of course, and governance and monitoring. If you lose one of them, you cannot respect for your geographical indications and deteriorate your geographical indications and terroir as well. And in the long term, you may lose the link between the geographical indications and gastronomy and also gastronomy tourism. We have to, focus on the terroir meaning, not just for destination, but terroir meaning covers the culture, human being, collective production, and environment as well. And we can, doing like that, we can get a very powerful outcome of this approach for the gastronomy innovations. So that's why I would like to emphasize that point. And from all above this, and if you do not respect for the soil and lose your soil, and if you do not respect the water the forest products, and you may lose everything, and you cannot think about the gastronomy innovations, and of course gastronomy tourism. So that's why we think about for the long term, not just for the short term, and not to try to get some shortcuts.
Thank you so much, İrfan Beyciğim. So I think
You're very
we want to go another round in the next 5 to 10 minutes for the moderated discussion. And then when we come back, İrfan Bey, maybe you can give some examples of best practices, those things that you have been highlighting that may be perhaps useful. So let's go back to Serkan Bey. Let's go back to Japan. So I'm wondering, your impact and mission point that you have here. So we learned that your mission is to spread happiness through food. Given that you emphasize innovation benefits both travelers and locals, how does the Food for Happiness project, which has donated over 1 million meals, fundamentally integrate social upliftment into the platform's business model? How do you ensure that the local economies and communities are supported beyond just increased bookings?
Thank you so much for your question, Professor. From actually day one, when we started BuyFood platform, we also started the Food for Happiness project. I actually joined an event in South Africa in Johannesburg in 2013. It's called One Young World. In that event, I was able to hear many stories from young leaders contributing to their society with their businesses. And that inspired me, and I wanted to start my own company in the future and contribute to society with it. So that's why from day one, we started the Food for Happiness project. And this is really different than corporate social responsibility, this without having any profit. We are losing money at that time, but still we wanted to start this project. It is heart of our business. So how it works is that actually we work with several NGOs around the world, and so actually, we are not donating in Japan. We are donating outside of Japan. Recently, for example, we are donating in Malawi. So we make sure that children have school lunch meals. These actually encourage kids to go to school. So this is encouraging families to send their kids to school. That's why we are doing school lunch meal projects with different NGOs. And it has been going on since the beginning. And recently we passed 1 million donation. Currently we are 1.1 million donations.
Thank you so much. It's great that you are doing this properly. And it's also important to have the big P. Big P is the purpose. And not necessarily doing it for reputation, for corporate social responsibility image, but if you are doing it from the heart, sincerely, that is what is needed. And we also have this fair trade, organic, regenerative, all these sorts of designations, but sometimes we also criticize them being like greenwashing and not necessarily being properly conducted. So it's good. And then you have also given an opportunity to analyze that you were inspired in South Africa.
Yeah.
So that follows well. Go ahead, analyst. So you can say anything you want to say about that, but also how visible is innovative food design in Cape Town currently? So how about different stakeholders benefit from it? Do you criticize anything? Is there anything you can do better? How can we make sure that things are more sustainable, but also benefiting the people who should be benefiting from it? Communities, basically.
Thank you, Professor. I think, to answer your question, two things. I can think of some examples which are practical, where you can see how it benefits, especially rural communities, and again, considering job creation. And it touches on both Serkan and Erwin's presentations. We've got Rooibos tea in South Africa, which got geographic indicator status. And it's a little bit outside. It only grows in that area about an hour outside of Cape Town. And because of that, there was a lot of employment created, and it was a new product where you can see the design. It was the first of its type tea experience in South Africa, and it's got a good blend between familiarity, because people are familiar with tea, but also uniquity, because the rooibos tea has got that geographic indicator status. And the beautiful thing about that is that it is exported, and Japan actually imports quite a bit of the rooibos tea. And you can see that people in that area living there is not many other types of those types of opportunities for job creation and growth. So yeah, I think that is quite important, and that is probably one of the things that we can build on for the future, looking at agrotourism and including food tourism, taking our unique products and also our global exposure and global tourism, and see if we can bring the two together in a good way going forward. Yeah, and then I think the last thing that I'll leave with is, like, we need an attempt to, like you said, intentional. And very often in South Africa, those intentional incentives are basic things like infrastructure. In the wine industry, for example, there's a process where they are looking to build another airport in the winelands specifically, to promote wine tourism and the food and wine experiences. And those are the types of things that would be very, very useful to make sure that more people can be accommodated in that, through the industry and through tourism, create jobs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's great. And you also have indicated the unintended consequences to me personally. So Irfan Beyciğim, so you have been paying attention to unintentional consequences, right? You can also address them, but please feel free to share those things that best practices, so examples of best practices. And if there are like unintentional consequences, what do we need to do to make sure that we don't face such issues?
Yeah, thank you, Mohammed Bey. And there is a good example of Gaziantep, as I mentioned in my presentation. And 15 years ago, there is no registered geographical indications in the city of Gaziantep in Turkey. And they put geographical indications policy in their main strategy. And within 15 years, they registered more than 100 geographical indications. And they get registration more than 100 geographical indications. And the gastronomy of the city is growing more and more. And of course, as a result of all this success, they get a label of UNESCO gastronomous city. And the city is very popular now with the cuisine culture. And there are lots of cooperatives are working to produce geographical indications products. And also the municipality of the city is managing very well. As I said, there are three pillars of geographical indications. One is registration. The registration is important, but not enough. And governance and also monitoring are very important to get all good results of your policy. And the Gaziantep is doing very well at the moment. But also, I just want to mention the populism danger. The populism maybe can get some shortcut within a short time, but in the long term, the populism spoil the geographical indications system. And if you do not respect the governance and also monitoring, and if you can see just registering, you know, of the geographical indications, you cannot get the gain to make this process sustainable.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have, you know, started getting, you know, questions. Thank you so much, İrfan Beyciğim. So we also started, you know, getting questions. So we want to pause a minute and we give floor to Professor Jafar Jafari, Professor Kazım, or Professor Cooper. I think they are going to be perhaps, you know, contributing the discussion at this point. And then later on, we continue with responding to questions, right?
Thank you, Mohammed. Very much. We have two questions from the floor. Maybe we can just raise the questions first, and any of the panelists or yourself if you want. One is from Yeni. She is talking about the Bali food, and saying that the food in Bali is too spicy for international visitors. So the question is, how can the destination balance adaptation without losing culinary authenticity if they do not put a lot of spice in the food for tourists? I don't know.
My personal response would be, we need to perhaps, you know, offer an alternative, you know, for some people who cannot tolerate, you know, having it spicier. So I think we need to make sure that, you know, it's authentic. But if authentic is not going well with some people, they should have slightly mild version of that. Maybe that's my, you know, direct answer to that.
Very good. So it might be to bring more tolerancy, maybe authentic food only for tasting, for those who want to. Yeah, and very good. The second question is from Sharma. She's from India, and she's asking about the social media and bloggings, especially in some bloggers' information about food from India. They raise the issue of sanitary and sanitization of the food, and say, well, this might be true in some cases, but it is injustice to judge the very diverse Indian culinary in one, let's say, in same case. So what do you think, how they can solve this issue of food in blogging?
So I think this goes back to, you know, negative, you know, images of any country. It is not necessarily related to food or hygiene or, you know, unsanitary. You know, so many countries, you know, so many cities have these kind of, you know, negative images. But we also know that in reality, those projected images or those stereotypes that we have is not as critical, or is not, you know, is not bad as bad as, you know, they are seen on our image. So I think the primary experience usually, you know, solves that kind of problems. But maybe, you know, India and, you know, countries like that, or perhaps destinations, they need to provide primary experience. So if they cannot do that, perhaps, you know, in the destination itself, they can try to do that outside of the country. But there are ways of doing that, to me personally. But how about the panelists or, you know, other people? You can also please, you know, respond to those questions.
I just want to mention that we have Professor Muzo also tonight here. Muzo, if you want to expand some words to the panel, we would be very happy. Thank you, Muzo.
You are muted, hocam.
Well, hello. Thank you for the opportunity. I was just thinking about the scope and the coverage of the entire panel. This is absolutely fantastic. we have great panelists who drew on their extensive and impressive experiences with great examples. So I felt that we learned a lot. I got a lot out of it. I just want to thank each of you for organizing and putting this fantastic panel together. I'm so happy that I could make it. Actually, it worked out for me as well. And thank you. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but honestly, it was just impressive and enjoyed it tremendously. Thank you for making this happen. Thank you to you, Professor Keskin and Professor Wadafar, and then, of course, Professor Jafari and Professor Cooper for continuing with this wonderful global service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Muzo, for being always a big support for Scott webinars, and we are looking forward to your next webinar as well. Okay, let me pass it on to Professor Malcolm Cooper. Malcolm.
Okay, hi. Thank you very, very much for a brilliant webinar. My job is strange. It's to provide some sort of a third-party background to what you've been discussing. So I'd like to concentrate on a couple of things. Excuse my voice, I've got a bit of a cold. Showcasing food tourism is one aspect. How to design authentic presentations is another. But you made the point that food tourism is no longer a niche market. It's a common market, if you like. It serves as a platform for sharing local traditions, and it supports diversification in those traditions by adding other people's cuisine as you go. So this webinar, for me at least, was a comprehensive strategic approach to food tourism. It's what we have to do, though, is the other side of the coin. And I found that started to come through quite well too. And that is the governance and management challenges. When you're looking at the benefits of food tourism, but omit the difficulties inherent in coordinating activities and bringing food tourism to the table, so to speak. Food tourism involves diverse stakeholders, and that's one of the things that came out in this webinar. It's a great type of tourism to have, but as long as you realize that it's like every other form of tourism, it's very subject to a number of pressures. Successful food tourism is important, but the authenticity trap mentioned just a few minutes ago is also an important aspect of all of this. What is what you are being presented with, and then there's the question of people's observations about the type of food. You also mentioned that as a problem. Now, people looking at Japan will say raw fish and something called natto, which is fermented soybeans. Actually, I find it completely delicious, but I'm told my ethnic background I should not. And I should not try it. It's not good. So there are some specific things that you've managed to bring out in this webinar that cover both sides of the story. So thank you very, very much, and please excuse my voice, and perhaps next time I'll be okay. For a wonderful webinar with depth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thanks, Malcolm. And Jafar, I think you're going to have the difficult job.
Yes, you always give me the hard work at the end. With all being said, I have to change my summary. I don't do summary at all, but just a few notes I wrote down, and I want to share them with you. My comments are going to be a la carte, using a terminology from food. A few items from here and there that I have, I want to discuss with you. And I'm going to put my tourism glasses on to look at this discussion from tourism point of view. Whether we use the word cuisine, gastronomy, gourmet service, whatever, we are talking about food. And what is evident is face in tourism daily activities. Let me demonstrate. Breakfast, 1 hour. Lunch, 1.5 hours. Dinner, 1.5 hours. That's 4 hours. So 4 hours, and let's imagine that the tourist has 12 hours per day. This is 1/3 of the time of the tourist dealing with food. And this is extremely important to be understood. That's one point I want to make. As an anthropologist, I'm very much interested in the cultural dimensions of the discussion. So I was thinking that if we begin a journey of food on the Silk Road, starting from China and coming westward, coming all the way to Central Asian countries, coming to Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, moving on to Italy. Begin with a dish, a single dish in China, and bring it forward. You see how it changes. It changes from country to country. It is the culture which is making the change. Spices, taste, everything are all related to the culture. So we see food evolution in this way. Or look at, since we're talking about Italy and UNESCO's prestige that goes with the Italian cuisine, take pizza. See what pizza, the original pizza in Turkey, and what has happened in other countries. In USA, pizza is so different from Italian pizza. Actually, Italians would not like American pizza, and Americans don't like, more or less, Italian pizza. So it is a culture that works in that way. So that's one point I want to make. And also the mixture of the culture. Can food be imported to a different country, which is not its own country? I can think of the Indian food and its place in the United Kingdom. It has a central place in United Kingdom cuisine. So food can be also transported or imported to a different culture, but then it takes the flavor or the style of the host culture. And this, I went to a Vietnamese food restaurant in the United States, and I asked for a certain dish. And they said, "Oh no, we don't serve that dish here because Americans don't like it." So it's the taste of the imported destination as well. The other thing I mentioned is when Serkan was talking about, I wondered if Serkan was not Turkish, how differently he would be looking at the Japanese food. In other words, if a Japanese person was doing what Serkan is doing, it would be different. Serkan sees things that Japanese don't see, and it's very important. So the point I want to make here is we need to have inner eyes and outer eyes in order to get the best of culture coming to the fore. Just inner eyes is not enough. If everybody is Japanese and thinking Japanese and acting Japanese, it's not going to be appealing. And I've seen this in many countries, that they mix inner eye and outer eye. And then I was thinking about context. Once I was in South Africa, and I wanted to still teach here in Wisconsin, so I did it online, live from South Africa. And at the end, one of my students in USA asked a question. Would you tell us, and the lady whom I had as a guest in South Africa was a blonde lady. So this student of mine from the United States asked, what is the situation of minorities in South Africa? And she answered that minorities are doing just fine. And my student says, no, I mean minorities. So minorities in the mind of my student was Black community, Black things. And therefore my speaker says, I am the minority in South Africa. So things when they're out of context, we begin to see them. So we go to a country and they're not using so much of bread. Where is the bread? Well, this is not a bread country. Where is the rice? This is not a rice country. Where's the meat? It's not a meat country. So these are the things that tourism would bring to the forefront when we travel. And of course, we mostly talk about food, but food and wine pairing is an art and a practice that is done in many places. And of course, France is doing a very good job in that. And all of that comes together. Food comes together, creating a unique selling proposition. The food of a country is going to be unique to that country, and it could be part of marketing of that country. Just watch what Italy would do now with this UNESCO status that it has received. Not that Italy needs more tourism. It has a lot of tourism, but it is still going to use the food and designation of its food. Food is serving culture. Food is putting culture on a plate and serving it to the tourists. I conclude by saying that food is culture, and that's my conclusion. To contextualize culture and terroir that Irfan was talking about, that brings all of it together. It's soil, the culture, the people, and everything coming together, and we put that on a dish and serve it to the tourist. Thank you.
Thank you, Jafar. As expected, very comprehensive, and I think you are opening, you're not closing the session, you're opening it, and by this conclusion, we need to invite the moderators and speakers to come back again and talk more in more specific areas of food tourism. I personally learned from all presentations, and I think food is not just a taste. As you mentioned, food is culture, but food is an experience. Having the same food, which is cooked, probably the same taste in different environment, different circumstances, it might taste different too. So how to extend the time that you mentioned, Jafar, as let's say 1/4 of the time in a day is just the time that they serve and they eat. But if food is also is an activity, cooking together, learning and working together, joining and exchange through cooking and food related. It can be food production. We had in our presentations, we had agriculture. We talk about the soil, for example. To learn about traditional ways of agriculture is also directly related to the food production, how different people produce and consume. And we can go beyond the taste of the material side of the food through this kind of. So I don't think we can conclude this in one webinar. So probably we need to reorganize or put this food as a series that we already had many of them in Scott to continue this discussion. I would like to thank everyone again. And due to our time limit and constraint, we have to close this session and invite all of you to join us with future Scott webinars on food related tourism. Thank you very much. I thank Mohammed and Muzo especially, and all panelists, and Jafar and Professor Malcolm and all the audience who stayed with us. I know some of you are from Japan, and here is almost midnight, 12, and you're still with us, which means that the topic and the quality of discussion is really high. Once again, I invite you to join us and also watch Scott webinars on our YouTube channel. It is one click away, and you can freely watch over 100 webinars that we have organized so far. Thank you, and back to you, Mohammed, for your final words.
Yeah, final words. I don't want to ignore one of the questions, but I will not respond, and I will not open the floor for responding that. I just want to make one final comment, which is, so I went to South Africa and I found out that the Turkish yogurt is Greek yogurt. Then I came to United States, I found out that the Turkish yogurt is Greek yogurt. So we have that discussion, and Irfan Bey can do a good job in terms of how to deal with that. But to me, it's part of a region, not necessarily part of a particular country and things like that. So sometimes the food moves beyond the an exact country or an exact city. Professor Cooper.
Yeah, look, one comment I want to make about that. Have you heard of the fruit called kiwi fruit? Do you know that little fruit? Well, actually, it's a Chinese fruit. And it was, in my younger days, called a Chinese gooseberry. And somebody had the bright idea of adopting it as a kiwi fruit and exporting it to the rest of the world as a New Zealand product.
Yeah.
I mean, that can happen as well.
Maybe we need another session on that, perhaps expanding more on that. So that's a great question, though. So I would like to thank on behalf of all the panelists, and I would like to thank to their contribution. I also would like to extend our sincere gratitude to organizers, Professor Kazım, Professor Cooper, and Professor Jaffer, as well as the technical team, and then continued support of Professor Uysal. And thanks so much everybody who joined us today. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.